Spotlight.
Is this the tip line?
You think he's got something?
I want to keep digging.
We need to focus on the institution. Show me that it came from the top down.
They'll try to silence anyone who speaks out.
You leave me alone, you hear me, goddammit?
6% act out sexually.
6% is 90.
90 priests.
If there were 90 of these bastards, people would know.
Maybe they do.
They come in fours, you've done 3
Oh,
spots.
the story is based on memory. Oh, yeah, Spotlight. That's the movie about
What's going on, Liz?
I don't have a filter that prevents me from screaming things.
Still ahead one more time. That's the guy that Brady. He's on the list.
Well, I mean, you know, we're hearing from people not just all over the country, but even now all over the world. A lot of them are victims or survivors who've never come forward before and now want to talk. People asking us to do other investigative projects. So I think it gives us a sense of the reach the movie is having, and in a good way. You know, I think it empowers people who may not have felt comfortable coming forward before to come forward, and hopefully there'll be a support network out there for them. So I think that's a good thing.
We need to focus on the institution, not the individual priests. Practice and policy. Show me the church manipulated the system so that these guys wouldn't have to face charges. Show me they put those same priests back into parishes time and time again. Show me this was systemic, that it came from the top down.
Corruption and wrongdoing can happen if there aren't people to ask tough questions, and oftentimes it's the investigative journalists and the journalists we rely on to do that. This is a tough financial time for the print journalism industry in particular. Many fewer people buy newspapers, but if people don't buy them, then we don't have the revenue to do the kind of work that is seen in the movie. So I have this sort of fantasy that it will create this burst in newspaper subscriptions so that other papers can continue doing this kind of important work.
The Boston priests molested kids in 6 different parishes over the last 30 years. The church found out about it and did nothing. We haven't committed any long-term investigative resources to the case.
No, we haven't.
And that's the kind of thing your team would do.
Spotlight. Guys, listen. Everybody's going to be interested in this.
I think the question of why they did what they did is the hardest to answer, and the one that I feel like we've never answered to my satisfaction. I mean, there are many theories. Some people think it's about the celibacy vow. Some people believe it's an unnatural way to ask people to live, or to ask most people to live, and this can be the end result. Some people think that because, particularly back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, young men often went to the seminary when they were early adolescents, before they were really sexually developed, that in a way it stunted their sexual development. So I don't know the answer, but I do think that there was some odd acceptance within the clergy that this was okay somehow. I had a priest tell me once that they believed that if you were, as he put it, fooling around with little boys instead of little girls, you're still obeying your celibacy vow. I think we'd all agree that's pretty warped, but I think that among some priests, that was the rationale.
I am here because I care. We're going to tell this story. We're going to tell it right.
I'm hoping we can keep this between us until we all get on the same page.
Is that why we're here, to get on the same page? We've got 2 stories here. A story about degenerate clergy, and a story about a bunch of lawyers turning child abuse into a cottage industry. Which story do you want us to write? Because we're writing one of them.
I think it also shocked me to see how sympathetic the church was toward the priests rather than the victims. We saw that often when we went through documents. It was this sense that the priests had been really put through a very trying and difficult, emotionally difficult time when they were accused, and the church seemed to not be acknowledging who the true victim was. And I found the psychology of that very strange and startling.
Ladies together, big smile together. Over your shoulder. Straight over your shoulder.
To your left, one more.
All along the process, I would hear from her by phone, by text, by email. Even on set sometimes, I'd get text messages saying, now, would you have taken notes in a notebook or by typing on your computer? And would you have worn heels in the office or tennis shoes? And if they were heels, how high would the heel would be? So all along the way, I got an inside look at how much she cared about the details, how much she wanted to be accurate. And it was a window to me onto how hard really good actors work. And most people don't get to see that. They just get to see them on screen and on the red carpet. We saw the homework and the research, and it was really impressive.
Scoot that way. Don't with that face.
No.
No.
Let's go a little high here.
And why is that?
You're both doing the same thing.
And I thought we would have to be sort of ducking or cowering on the side, staying out of their way and being quiet. But it was very clear that we were welcome on the set, as close as we wanted. There were times that I would have to duck as the camera went by. There are certain scenes in the movie where I know that I'm just outside the lens because we were in the room. They were willing to have us speak up and suggest where dialogue should be tweaked or how the set should be changed. They just opened their arms completely to us and welcomed everything, every input we wanted to give them.
This is good.
I mean, Hollywood is a very strange world. You know, I feel like we've gotten this inside view, this sort of embedded. I keep saying we're sort of like we're embedded in Hollywood. It's very, very interesting. You know, it's a behind the curtain look at things that a lot of people never see. And I think it's fascinating. As a reporter, I love that my job often gives me access to worlds that most people don't get access to. And I feel like I've gotten access to another fascinating world.
This is not just Boston, it's the whole country, it's the whole world.
They knew, and they let it happen. It could have been you, it could have been me, it could have been any of us.